The year was 1921. It was an age of opportunity and unbridled optimism in our country. America's economy was growing rapidly. World War I was over, and the pandemic of 1918 had finally run its course. People were starting to travel both in the United States and abroad. The steamship business was expanding, enabling easier travel to far-off lands. Most importantly, the Lord was working in the hearts of his people to awaken a growing interest in missions. The Lord's command to go into all the world and preach the gospel had an opportunity to take on new meaning. For the first time, there were a number of young Americans who had served overseas. They had made contact with people from all over the world, and they had seen firsthand a world beyond our shores that needed the gospel. Men and women courageously went out in faith from many independent local assemblies across North America. However, they were without the support services that were generally available from denomination mission boards. Also, as mission activity increased, foreign governments developed an increased awareness and interest in the missionaries who were serving in their country. There was clearly a need for an organization that could address these governmental requirements and provide missionaries the support services that local churches were not equipped to provide. This is where the Cmml story begins. In May 1921, a group of dedicated Christians formed Christian Missions in Many Lands Limited. Many of the founders had connections with an earlier established organization that was already helping missionaries called Voices from the Vineyard. Voices published a magazine to encourage prayer for those that had gone out to take the gospel message to other lands. Both organizations partnered together to serve missionaries, and in 1938, they were joined by a new organization called the Fields. In 1971, all three organizations, Cmml Limited, Voices from the Vineyard, and the Fields, along with the Julia Hassey Memorial Home, consolidated into a single organization called Christian Missions in Many Lands Incorporated. These last years have been a wonderful demonstration of the Lord's grace, which has been experienced in so many ways. Shortly after the merger in 1972, God provided a beautiful building in New Jersey, which today serves as our administrative office and clothing center with apartments for missionaries and their families. The ministry of Cmml has grown. In 1919, there were 64 missionaries from North America serving in 13 countries. 20 years later, this had grown to 245 serving in 37 countries. Today, there are 708 missionaries serving in 80 countries and here in North America. Our ability to provide services has also grown. Today, Cmml actively encourages prayer for those serving through the publication of an annual Missionary Prayer Handbook, a monthly magazine, and through various electronic measures. We process thousands of gifts for distribution around the world to workers, orphanages, hospitals, medical clinics, and schools. Among other things, we sponsor missionary conferences, provide security alerts, visit missionaries and their commending assemblies, and sponsor an annual Missionary Orientation program, as well as providing emergency funds for repatriation. We seek to bridge the gap between missionaries on the field and assemblies at home, providing necessary services that are difficult or impossible for the missionary or their assembly to provide. The Lord has blessed Cmml with a godly board of directors and a dedicated staff. This year, for the first time, we have added a full-time executive director, John Peasland. You will have an opportunity to meet our staff in the videos which follow. The crux of our ministry has always been to be a Christ-centered and Christ-honoring organization serving those who serve. Our mission is to advance the spread of the gospel globally by serving U.S. assemblies and their missionaries. We seek to support engaged senders, the local assemblies, as they commend those the Lord is sending to serve him in the fields. We seek to enable commended workers to fulfill the work the Lord has called them to do. We also seek to encourage supporters of every generation to be informed and enthusiastic partners in global missions. We stand on the shoulders of faithful Christians who have led Cmml during the last 100 years. We are determined, by God's grace, to continue to work with the same spirit of dependence that started the work in 1921. 2020 has been a year unlike any other. COVID-19 has brought suffering to every corner of the globe. Thousands have died here in the United States and around the world. Millions have lost jobs and the ability to meet their basic needs. Through the generous giving of Christians, Cmml has been instrumental in meeting the daily needs of hundreds around the world. Missionary life and work in foreign countries has been disrupted, as it has been here in the U.S. Some workers have returned home and are still waiting to go back to their field of service. However, most encouragingly, we are constantly receiving reports of new opportunities that are emerging to use electronic means to share the gospel both from the United States and overseas. And not only are there new opportunities, but also new interest in the things of God with both the young and the old. We might say truly the word of God is not bound. We have opportunities for innovation as we spread the unchanging message of the love of the Lord Jesus. The need to demonstrate God's love never grows old, but there will always be new ways for us to do it in the years ahead. There is also a new generation here at home that must catch the vision to take the wonderful story of Jesus to those who have never heard it. And they must be reached in ways that are culturally relevant. As we celebrate 100 years of blessing, we cannot help but remember the words of the intrepid first century missionary Paul, who wrote to the Christians almost 2,000 years ago, "For a great and effective door has been opened to me, and there are many adversaries." May the Lord give us the grace and the wisdom and the courage to go through the door that the Lord has opened for us in 2021.
Hey, I'm John Peasland. I'm the executive director here at Cmml, and yeah, I'm the new guy. I'm learning a lot, asking lots of questions. The staff can definitely vouch for that. Here at Cmml, our mission vision is to extend the work of the gospel. And how do we do that? We do that through engaged senders, enabled servants, and enthusiastic supporters, which I really hope that you're one of those. I was actually raised on the mission field. I grew up down in Mexico. My parents are still missionaries down there. I met my beautiful wife, Ingrid, and 3 of our 4 kids were born down there. So I have a real passion for the work of the Lord in foreign fields. And here at Cmml, we're all about the work of the Lord, both in foreign fields and cross-culturally here in the U.S.
Hi, I'm Alan Coburn from Christian Missions in Many Lands. I'm the facilities manager, and I work alongside Russ Click as the maintenance. And here we work together to repair the building as needed. Some of the older sections of the building need a lot of repair and renovations, as well as updating the facilities to meet code requirements. The Lord has brought me here about 5 years ago through a series of events that I've been pleased with. That the Lord I've always wanted to work in the Christian fields over the years because of my parents. They were involved with missionaries as they served the Lord, and also missionaries used to come to our home as children, and we used to hear the stories and enjoy the wonderful memories of what the Lord had done in their lives. So it was an encouragement to me, and we worked from there. We worked as a family in camps, and in camp I have met my wife as well, which we have been married for 38 years, and we've had 3 children and also now 3 grandchildren that God has blessed us with as well. And we have been serving the Lord with many aspects, not only in the church, but also with missionaries as they come through. God has given me over the last 5 years the opportunity to extend the service of my maintenance as well, which I've been able to travel once to Africa, once to Ireland, once to Bahamas in order to help renovate some facilities. I also am involved with team workers abroad here in the U.S., which also does repair and maintenance projects for missionaries throughout the world. Contacting me through CMML would also be a way to reach us in order to get work done as needed as the Lord sees fit with your ministry.
Hi, I'm Helen Brown. I'm the housekeeper here at CMML. About 10 years ago, Mary Parsons, the house hostess, contacted me and asked me if I was interested in coming on. So I've been here since then, but coincidentally, about 25 years ago, Jane Wolcott, the house hostess at the time, had contacted me and asked me if I was interested in coming on, that they were looking for a housekeeper. And she had heard that I was housekeeping through, we have many family members who have actually worked for CMML through the years. And at the time, my kids were rather young and it didn't seem like the right time. But also I remember thinking, there is just no way I'm going to be able to clean such a big house. Well, I turned it down at the time, but then when it came back at me with Mary, it really seemed to be the Lord's timing, just the right time to accept the position. And I've been very grateful. It has been wonderful to have contact with many of the missionaries here. That's really my favorite part, is getting to know them and learning about what they're doing on their mission field and other parts of the world, and keeping in some contact. And when they come back, it's really fun to see them and see how much their kids have grown. So that's really my favorite part, is the connection with all the different missionaries. And I've learned so much since I've been here. On a personal note, I have been married for 35 years. I have 3 daughters, 2 grandsons, and a 3rd grandson on the way. And for sure, my greatest joy is spending time with my family. I feel very blessed, and I truly feel very blessed to be working here. A lot of my responsibilities involve various housekeeping. I do laundry, I prepare the rooms for the guests and make sure they have what they need. And then when they leave, I turn the rooms over again and prepare them for more guests to come.
Hello, my name is Russ Click. I'm working maintenance here at CMML. I started in April of 1999 in the cleaning department, and a few years later I started working in the maintenance department, which Mert and Jane Wolcott were ahead of the building, residents, and hostess. They were missionaries in Africa for 30 years before they came here, and they were very instrumental in me coming to know the Lord. They just stood before me and prayed. I believed in God, but I didn't have an understanding. I work alongside of Alan Coburn, the facilities manager, and hopefully the things that we do around CMML, the repairs and things, and the way we live our lives, and hopefully my testimony, how the Lord has used me, we are hopefully serving and very helpful to the missionaries that come in and out of CMML. I am involved in my church worship team, and I am involved in a Christian rock recovery band.
Hi, my name is Sarah Dunlap, and I am the editor of Missions Magazine. I moved from Florida to New Jersey a year ago, and I started working with CMML as an intern back in 2017. In my role, I do everything related to the magazine, from content generation to comma placement, and I love all kinds of stories, so I'm passionate about helping missionaries share their stories with our readers. My history with Missions Magazine goes back to my childhood. I remember reading it and flipping through and seeing all of the missionaries' stories and all of their photos. I loved those most of all. So now it's really special for me to get to work on the magazine today.
Hi, my name is Heather Zappella, and I'm the office manager here at Cmml. And this is my sister, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Evans, and I am in charge of donor relations and special projects. I've been here for 9 years, and my job entails processing donations and working behind the scenes on conferences. What do you do?
For the past 15 years, I've done a little bit of everything. My job now primarily includes gathering information from the Missionary Prayer Handbook, financial aspects, as well as helping others in the office with their daily tasks. Cmml has been a part of our lives for as long as we can remember.
Our grandparents were missionaries in the Philippines, Len and Esther Brooks, and they became the first caretakers here at Cmml for 20 years.
We have many great memories of Cmml, from running up and down these stairs as little kids to playing hide and seek to playing with other missionary families that would come and stay while on furlough here.
Some of my favorite memories are actually getting to walk the grounds with my grandfather as he fixed different things and made sure that the rooms were all ready for missionaries. Another one of my favorite memories is when we used to sit in the dining room and have our whole family sit and enjoy one of Pop-Up's famous breakfasts. Watching my grandparents over the years serve all the missionaries that came through here in the 20 years that they were here led my sister and I to have that same desire of serving those who serve.
Hello, my name is Joe Kanata, and I'm part of the accounting finance team here at CMML. I'm responsible for bookkeeping and accounting functions for the missionaries. I have many opportunities to interact with the missionaries when they have banking problems or need to have bank information changed, or when they want to give to other missionaries. I enjoy my job tremendously. It's a privilege to serve the Lord and a privilege to serve the missionaries. I'm an avid Yankees fan, avid Giants fan. I enjoy the opportunities I've had to take missionaries to Yankee Stadium, and they have enjoyed that tremendously. I've been working for CMML for 15 and a half years, and it's a pleasure to work in a Christian environment where all the co-workers are believers and part of a team, where we're all seeking to strive to serve the Lord.
My name is Helen Brown. I volunteer 2 days a week at CMML. My husband at one time was on the board of directors, and my granddaughter is a missionary to Colombia. My son worked here for Len Brooks. My daughter-in-law works here. I enter money that comes in for the missionaries, and I enter it on the computer with the amount of money and who it's going to. Well, as a hobby, I collect salt and pepper shakers. I have about 500 sets of that. I enjoy reading. Favorite color is yellow. Got a yellow kitchen, yellow house. On the mornings after work, I jump out of bed. Happy to come here and volunteer.
I work in the office doing what I call old-fashioned communication, either telephone or writing letters or doing emails, in which case I mark them for the magazine and I distribute them to the directors and whoever might need them. When CMML moved here in 1972, I was just leaving for France with an international team, and I stayed there for 25 years working in with international teams, and then with Emmaus correspondence courses. Then after about 25 years, I came home to take care of my parents, and Sam Robinson invited me to come and work here at CMML, and I was thrilled because when I had grown up in this area, we had often taken rides in front of the CMML building, and I always told my father that I was going to own that place. I was going to live in this big, huge mansion. And my father would remind me that I would have to clean this big mansion. And although that didn't really deter me, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed that as much as working here. And we do have Helen here to do the cleaning now.
I am Craig Fritchie, and I'm the Conference and Security Coordinator here at CMML. I'm originally from South Florida. I married my wife Daniela after I moved up here, and now we have 2 great kids. And I love to sing and play the piano. I'm involved in different projects for music and the assemblies, and I love to sing and to help people sing for the glory of God. As conference coordinator, we plan about 10 events a year. Most of them are youth events, like our 26 Below conferences. And the goal of those conferences is to try to connect missionaries with people here in the U.S. and to connect people that are interested in missions with what God is doing all around the world and to inspire the next generation of missionaries. It's been really fun getting to know people all over the country, and we're excited to see how the Lord is going to call the next generation to the mission field. As security coordinator, I just make sure everyone on the mission field knows what's going on and that they're safe, and we connect with them and make sure that they have everything they need. And if there's anything we can help with, we provide them with resources and training and finances from our disaster funds if necessary, so that they can do the work that they're called to do in the ministry they're called to do more effectively. I like to think about my role here at CMML as a connector, connecting missionaries with resources and with people and assemblies that can help them in the work, and connecting people here in the U.S. with what God is doing all around the world. It's so exciting to hear how God is saving souls and building his church all over the place, and it's a story that we need to share with others. I always wanted to work in a castle, and here I am. So dream come true.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Risden, and I serve as the manager of the Clothing Center at CMML. I have been a volunteer here for the last 7 years, and it's a privilege to serve the Lord through this very practical ministry. My husband and I have 3 adult children and 9 grandchildren that we love immensely. I enjoy reading, sewing, shopping, and international travel. My husband and I have visited many countries around the world and have had the opportunity to spend time with some of our commended missionaries. We spent time with a missionary in Greece, and we've spent time with missionaries in Israel. And so whenever we go, we try to build in time to visit someone involved in the Lord's work. My husband and I have also taken mission trips to Nepal, and that was certainly life-changing for me. These experiences have really given me greater insight into the work of the Lord's servants around the world, and then I can bring that experience back here to the Clothing Center. And so when I interact with the missionaries we have visited and those that we don't know, I feel that I have a greater understanding of what they need for the work on the field. So I really appreciate this opportunity to serve the Lord here at CMML.
We're Phil and Mary Parsons, and we're involved here at Christian Missions in Many Lands, currently the Assembly Relations and Missionary Care people. I'm from Buffalo, New York.
And I'm from Victoria, British Columbia.
We have 3 adult children.
And 12 grandchildren.
In 1985, the Lord opened the door for us to go to Faith Academy, a school for the children of missionaries. Myself, as a trained teacher, there was a need for an industrial arts teacher, and we prayed about it. And in 1985, we went for a 2-year commitment. But that 2-year commitment quickly turned into a 20-year commitment, and we enjoyed our time in the Philippines. In 2006, the Lord opened the door for us to come to Christian Missions in Many Lands at their invitation to be the building administrator and to take care of missionaries.
We love it when the missionaries come to visit and bring their families, and we all get to know them better, and they are have a chance to rest and relax, enjoy the beach, and enjoy being here at CMML.
It offers a great place to relax and refresh. And then our responsibilities expanded to assembly relations, where it gives us an opportunity to visit assemblies in the United States and talk about the ministry of Christian missions in many lands, and also cultivate an interest in missions. We also meet with newly commended workers with their leadership and talk about the roles, responsibilities, and expectations of the worker, of the sending assembly, and how CMML fits in the gaps to make that all come together nicely. Missionary Care allows us an opportunity to visit our workers on the field, to encourage them to see the work that they're doing, the ministries that they're engaged in, and to pray with them and offer advice if needed. We really enjoy our responsibilities here. It's a wonderful privilege. It's wonderful to work with a great body of people here at this ministry, and we trust the Lord to bless it as it continues to bless those who serve.
We believe that missions starts here, in your hometown, with your local assembly. We believe it starts together. Since 1921, CMML has partnered with you and your local assembly to advance the spread of the gospel globally through engaged senders, enabled servants, and enthusiastic supporters. Thousands have followed the Lord's call to over 150 countries. We serve missionaries through legal guidance, emotional support, biblical resources, and transferring funds. We also serve local assemblies in the U.S. as they assess, commend, support, and guide their missionaries. Together, our goal is to reach the world with the gospel of Christ. And for the last 100 years, it's been our privilege to serve in the Lord's work together. As we move forward, we're dedicated to opening up new pathways for the next generation of missionaries to follow God's call. Because the harvest really is plentiful. So, let's pray, let's go, and let's serve together.
Hello and welcome to Frequently Asked Questions with the CMML staff. As this is a virtual conference and we're all used to Zoom by now, we figured that this might be a great way to answer some of the questions that we receive here at CMML. So as you can see, we have many of the staff here connected. These wonderful, smiling, shiny faces. These are the ones that we get to work together with here at CMML. And they're the best source to go to for the answers to the questions that we have before us today. So we'll start with a few of these and we'll see how it goes. So first of all, I'd like to start with just a question of my own and share the vision and mission of who we are as CMML. Why do we exist? What's the primary ministry of CMML? And the best way to answer that is saying that we exist to advance the spread of the gospel globally by serving U.S. assemblies and their missionaries. And we do that through engaged senders, enabled servants, and enthusiastic supporters. So that's a quick and easy answer to that question. So I took the easy one. Now the rest of the staff gets to take the difficult ones. So let's start with Phil. Phil, he's responsible for missionary care and assembly relations. One of the questions is, how does a person who's interested in serving the Lord as a missionary, how do they avail themselves of CMML services?
Well, thanks, John. And really, it's predicated upon the fact in the belief that the Lord has been leading a prospective worker to cross-cultural service And the first and most important step is really to share this vision with the church leadership or elders. And that typically is usually followed by prayer, where the elders are praying about sending a worker, and the worker is praying for continued guidance. There may even be those times when the elders and the worker pray together. And at a point when it becomes apparent to the elders and the Lord confirms the call to both the worker and the elders, a letter of commendation is written, signed, and a copy sent to CMML. The letter of commendation is really an action taken by a local assembly where the elders and the assembly recognize God's call of one of their very own for a specific ministry. Essentially, the letter of commendation begins the process and becomes an important link with the worker and the sending assembly. That's how a worker can be connected with and receive the services that CMML provides.
Great, thanks, Phil. Now we'll go to Heather. Heather Zappella, she's our office manager and deals a lot with our finances here in the office. The question for you is, how much of a gift sent to the missionaries does CMML take to cover our expenses?
So we don't take anything from your donation. 100% of what a donor gives goes to whom they suggested, wherever possible. Sometimes if a missionary's account is closed or for some other reason, we would then reach out and ask, where else would you like us to send your donation? But 100% of what is given goes to where is suggested. We don't take anything over above and beyond for our expenses.
So with that being the case, how does CMML cover their expenses?
So we are thankful that the funds are provided from the generosity of the Lord's people through specific donations to CMML, to funds that CMML designate. If somebody designates in their will or in their estate that their funds should be left to CMML, that is one way that we cover our expenses, as well as receiving funds from our investments.
Great, and we're so thankful for those believers that send of their means that the Lord has placed upon their heart to donate to the operational expenses for CMML. Thanks, Heather. Alan Coburn. Alan Coburn, right in the middle of my screen. He is our facilities manager. And quick question for you. Can you give a brief description of the CMML facility? Not all of us are actually here physically today, but we are connecting remotely via Zoom. But can you just give us a brief description of the facility here?
Sure. The Lord has blessed us with a beautiful facility here. It's located in 17 partially wooded acres with 3 buildings connected, which makes up about 36,000 square feet. The original mansion section was built in 1930s, and then there was addition added on in 1940, with modifications done in some areas when we purchased it in the 1970s. It has a total of 2 family-size apartments, 10 hotel room accommodations, 20 bathrooms. This building also includes a recreation meeting room, dining room, parlor, playroom for the boss and others, I'm only kidding, for the children, and library, kitchen, and laundry facility for the missionary use as well. We also have an office complex and a missionary clothing center as well.
Great, thanks, Al. And Alan and Russ Click do a great job of taking care of the facilities here, keeping this place up. And so we're very thankful for them. Jen Evans, she's responsible for donor relations and special projects, amongst many other things. So if someone wants to send something here to CMML, what address should they use to send something here?
It actually depends on what they're sending. If they're going to send a donation or a letter, a book, they can use our P.O. box address, P.O. Box 13, and that's in Spring Lake. The actual address you can get from our website. If they're going to send a box, whether it be to the clothing center or to the office, they should use our location address, which is located here in Wall Township, New Jersey.
So any envelopes, one book or smaller, can go to the P.O. box, and anything bigger needs to go to the actual address.
Yes, please.
Street address. Great. Thanks, Jen. Let's move on to the clothing center, who we have with us today, Marilyn Risden, who helps out with the management of that. We're so thankful for her work there. A question for you today. What kind of things can we receive at the clothing center that people can ship to us or deliver personally?
Thanks, John. The clothing center serves our missionaries internationally, as well as full-time workers here in the United States. The key of what is most useful would be clothing that is multifunctional. Many of our missionaries have limitations on baggage. They also have families they have to consider when they come to shop free of charge in the clothing center. And the clothing needs to be something that can be used for many different functions in their life. Business casual to casual. At the present time, we're phasing out most of our men's suits just because of changing styles and trends. Many of our missionaries fall in the category of 50 and under. And so a business casual approach to dressing is much more practical. We also maintain a clothing center fund, and donations that are sent to that are used to purchase items such as men's and children's shoes especially. So if you're at a distance and postage is an issue in mailing packages, you can always make a monetary donation that will be used well. If you go to the link on the CMML website under Clothing Center, there's a list of the types of clothing that we use and that we are always in need of receiving. However, at the present time, you'll see a statement at the beginning of that link, and it says that the Clothing Center has been temporarily closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. My suggestion would be that you either contact the CMML office or email myself before you send any kind of a package. I'd be very happy to communicate with you and let you know what the current status is right now.
Thanks so much. All right, let's move from clothing to publications. Sarah Dunlap, our editor of our Missions magazine. A question about the magazine. How are expenses for the Missions magazine met?
So subscriptions to Missions are free of charge for U.S. residents. So we trust the Lord to provide the funds needed to produce each issue. We're very thankful for readers who forward gifts to CMML specifically to help with the magazine's expenses. This can be done on CMML's website or by mail with a check. We're so grateful for the generosity of all the Lord's people.
Thanks, Sarah. And now let's move to Mary Parsons, our hostess here at the guest house. A question for you. Who can stay at the CMML guest house and how much does it cost?
Okay, so I'll answer the easy part first. There is no charge for anyone staying at CMML's guest house. We make a priority for our overseas missionaries. Anyone that's listed in our handbook or is a commended worker overseas, they're the top priority. And we really enjoy those missionaries coming from all over to visit us here. Also, from time to time, full-time workers, especially those who are traveling through having meetings in the area, they will come and they will stay too, provided that we have the room. Sometimes people ask, so how many can you accommodate in your guest house? And we're sort of that number can wiggle a little bit when we have reaching higher here and lots of kids sleeping on blow-up beds and things. We can maybe have as many as 40, but 20 to 25 I would consider full, depending on the number of families or singles or couples that are in residence. So we can be full with about 20 to 25.
So how many missionaries come through the guest house in a given year? Obviously that fluctuates.
It does fluctuate, and we were trying to pin down some of our numbers. I would say between 200 and 300 would be on an average year. We would have some people coming for just maybe a night or two, families coming for a rest time, and then others maybe stay for a few months. So depending on how well that goes, maybe between 200 and 300 would be an average.
Great, thank you. Now moving over to Craig. Craig Fritchie does conferences, security, and a lot more. A question for you: what can CMML do to help my local assembly foster and cultivate interest in missions? And what kind of resources can you share?
Thanks, John. A big piece of what we do with the conferences is we try to bring missions to the communities and to the assemblies around. And a big way that people can get engaged in missions, and you can encourage missions in your community and of assemblies, is to attend some of these events. We have about 10 a year, and we're hoping that this year we can continue that trend. Another really great way that you can encourage missions in your assembly is to use the video resources that we've been producing. We release a new missions update video every month featuring a different missionary, and you can download those videos. You can show them in your chapels on a prayer meeting, or even the fall conference footage that's going to be up for the conference. You can share any of that stuff in your local churches. Maybe on a Thursday night Zoom meeting, you don't have a speaker, you can put up one of our conference speakers and hear about what God's doing around the world and how you can get engaged in that. And of course, you can get the prayer handbook and pray together as a group. And something else that we're really excited about is in this coming year, for our 100th anniversary, we're going to be offering a lot of different resources, missions history resources, special videos, even special conferences around the country. And so if you're interested in any of that material, you can reach out to me and we can hook you up with all of those really neat resources that'll be coming out in the next year.
Great, thanks, Craig. And how about just assistance in coordinating missionaries to speak at a local assembly or at a conference, a regional conference? That's something you can help out with?
Sure, yeah. We do have a list of all the missionaries on furlough, and because of my work with security, I also get a little bit of an inside scoop as to who's coming and going around the world. And so if you're needing a missionary to speak at a conference or a camp or a ladies meeting, you can give me a call or an email, and I'm happy to see who's around. I can give you a list of recommended missionaries who are looking for meetings or might be interested. Mary Parsons is one of our resident ladies conference gurus, and she can help as well, but I have my fair share of knowledge about the ladies missionary stuff too, from just having the lists and seeing who does the circuit. So we're excited to help with that. We want to help with that. Please feel free to call. I probably can't, organize your entire year schedule, but I can give you a lot of options and opportunities to connect with missionaries. Something else that's been really interesting through this COVID time is the availability of missionaries for Zoom. And I have a number of missionaries who have expressed interest and availability to Zoom into your chapel service for, it depends on where they are in the world, whether it's a morning or a night meeting, but they're very interested and willing and excited to connect directly with assemblies in the U.S., especially missionaries that might be in areas of the country that are very isolated from other believers. They love the fellowship with assemblies. They love joining in on youth meetings and prayer meetings, and you're very welcome to reach out to me, and I can help connect you with some of those missionaries. The last thing we've been doing is we've been having a monthly prayer meeting. We started out as a weekly, and then we went to a bi-monthly, and now we're down to a monthly prayer meeting as things begin to open up. And you're very welcome to join us for this prayer meeting that we have with missionaries and people in the U.S. to pray together for the Lord to work around the world.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Back to Phil. So Phil Parsons, question about MOP. And you might say, what in the world? Is that what I do to clean the floor? No, this is Missionary Orientation Program. So Phil, what is MOP? Who's it for? And how can it help prospective missionaries?
Well, thanks again, John. The Missionary Orientation Program, that's where the term MOP comes from. It's a program that began in 1991, and it began where the leaders, both at MSC, our sister organization in Canada, and those at CMML were trying to determine why were some of our workers newly commended returning from the field within the first 6 to 12 months. And it was grappling with that question that formed the Missionary Orientation Program, which is really a rather intensive one-week training program that is prepared for any who are seriously considering serving in a cross-cultural setting. And the range of interests can span from merely exploring missions to those who are ready to go. And really the purpose is to help make those first 12 to 18 months easy in terms of sensitizing the potential worker to the crucial issues of living and making disciples in a cross-cultural environment.
That's great. Thanks for that, Phil. Heather, you're up again. So to what extent is CMML growing or shrinking? Is the number of new workers increasing or decreasing? You take care of the handbook numbers. So can you help us with that?
Yes, so the Lord has faithfully called new workers to the field to help continue on the work of others that may be leaving the field. So I would say, according to the Missionary Prayer Handbook, that we've remained somewhat consistent. There's been a slight growth, but it seems to be somewhat equal in terms of the workers that are going as well as the workers that are coming home.
Yeah, so over the last month or maybe more, we've been spending some time looking at history, and it's been interesting to see some of the growth times in history of more workers going out to the field. And as Heather said, these last few years, we've kind of stayed pretty steady, which we're very thankful for, that even though many are returning from the field from retirement, there are those replacing them. Maybe not necessarily in the same fields, but the numbers are staying consistent. Wouldn't it be great if the Lord were to call many more and our numbers, again, take the increase that it took some years back as numbers were climbing a few years ago? Maybe the Lord's calling you to serve him on a foreign field. Thanks, Heather. Sarah Dunlap, let's go back to you. So one of the questions we get from folks in the assemblies about the Missions Magazine is, I haven't received my October issue. Where is it?
Yeah, so this is a question we get often. And while Missions is often thought of as a monthly magazine, it's actually published 11 times per year. So each year we produce 10 monthly issues, and then in September, October, we have one double issue. So you receive that double issue in early September, and then the next issue doesn't come out until November.
So that's why they don't receive it. And obviously this allows for a little less work here in the office as we prepare for the handbook, the work of it is being done at that point of the year. And obviously the planning for the next year for the Missions Magazine. So thanks, Sarah. Alan Coburn, you're back up. How can someone help out or donate to the upkeep of the facility?
Well, yes, there are actually several ways. One of it, which we
love to have as well is you can donate your actual time and your skills, and you can come help us with some maintenance needs. We can coordinate with you on that. That's an excellent way to help in that way. We also, through that, we've had schools, different schools that come and do projects with the students, as well as churches with their youth group, and some of the older group as well has come and done projects around the facility. So that's one way of just using your abilities and skills in that way to help. There's also, if you desire also, you can also contact me too as well, because I also have some leads into missionaries who need help as well, and I can point you to their needs and direction as well. And then here at the facility, again, you can also donate money toward the capital building fund that would go directly toward projects and other specific items, i.e. tool replacement or bathroom upgrades as well. So you can ask or call me specifically or email me, and I could tell you what the present needs are at the time, and we could point you to the projects, and we'd be glad to have you come and help us as well. So
we always welcome help.
Yes.
Thanks, Alan. And Jen, as you guys can tell, this is happening live, and so Jen had to jump up and take a call, and she's probably someone at the door. There's never a dull moment here at CMML. Well, Jen, question for you. What is the best way to donate to CMML?
The best way to donate to CMML is whichever way is easiest for you. There are 3 ways to donate. 1, you can send a check. 2, you can set up an EFT, which the donation that you would send would come right out of your bank account. As long as you give every month to the same missionary, which makes it a little easier on us. That's probably the easiest way for us is to have an EFT. It's directly out of your bank account into ours, and it goes directly to the missionary's account. The third way is online with your debit or credit card. You can also set up a recurring monthly donation here as well.
Great. So if we're looking for the easiest way for work here in the office, the EFT is the way to go. Is that right, Jen?
Correct.
But we're always happy to handle your donation. However, the best way is for you to get it. We'll make sure that it gets to the missionary that you're donating to, or if you're donating to the operational expenses here of CMML. Well, thanks for joining us today. Thank you, staff, for the wonderful answers. We trust that this was helpful for everyone and that this will kind of open your eyes a little bit better to how things work here and how we can best serve you. We're thankful that you, as whether an enabled servant out on the mission field, an engaged sender here at the home assemblies, or just an enthusiastic supporter all the way around, we're happy to serve you as you serve the Lord.
Thank you for joining us for CMML's 50th Annual Fall Conference. If you are encouraged by the things you learned today, here are some ways to engage with CMML and the worldwide missionary movement we serve. First, order a copy of the 2021 Missionary Prayer Handbook. You can use this handbook to pray for and connect with 725 missionaries in more than 80 countries. In celebration of our 100th anniversary, CMML will give a free copy of the Missionary Prayer Handbook to U.S. residents who make a donation of any kind after December 1st. Learn more at the link in the description below. Next, sign up for a free subscription to our award-winning magazine, Missions. Published 11 times per year, Missions features articles, stories, and letters from missionaries. Sign up by clicking the link below. Each month, we post video updates from missionaries on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification icon to keep up with the exciting things happening around the world. Like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CMML US to learn about upcoming events, fun news, and urgent prayer requests. And visit our website, cmml.us, to give to missionaries, to learn about us, register for conferences, and much more. Sign up for Mission Prayer Items, a weekly prayer letter jointly produced by MSC Canada, our sister organization, and CMML. Sign up by clicking the link below. Thank you for your interest in CMML and the Lord's work around the world. We look forward to connecting with you.